All right, few status updates. I know it's been a while since I've updated the site. This is mainly to talk about my trip to Austria, which I had a blast, but I'm going to tell you what's going on in the future, and then I'll get back to Austria. I talked about this briefly in my vlog to Contagion, but I'm sorry there haven't been any updates to the site lately. What I'm going to do is, for the next few days, I'm going to post a couple of vlogs. I'm going to do a commentary for King of Fighters, because I've actually got a lot to say that I didn't cover. Somebody actually gave me a hat, Fatal Fury hat, that's closer to Terry Bogard. A lot of people said I looked like Ash from Pokemon in that video. It's because of the hair. I thought I had a wig, but I didn't have a wig, so it was just the au naturel hair of power here. What I'm going to do is, the next videos coming up are DOA and Final Fantasy X-2. And again, I haven't written those yet, but I'm getting to it. So it might be a week, 2 weeks before there's a firm update going out, so you'll have to be patient. But, okay, Austria. What a trip Austria was. I've never gone that far in my life. I've never traveled that far. And so Aninite, the people who ran Aninite were very, very generous in getting us a great hotel and flew us all the way halfway across the world to go to Austria. What to say about the first thing, the flight. We flew on a Lufthansa flight, which was actually very, very nice. The crew, they all spoke German because, of course, it's kind of a German airline, I think. They were very attentive. They came several times to give us drinks, and they gave us snacks and food. I've heard such horror stories about in-flight meals, and honestly, the in-flight meals, they didn't look like much, but they were actually very good. We had like goulash for one meal, and then just kind of like beef and potatoes for another. It was kind of contained, a little full container, but it was good. I really had no complaints. We were actually very pleasantly surprised by the quality of the meals. They don't really cook it on the plane. They just kind of heat it up. But really liked it. What's funny is, the one thing you notice down there in Europe, but we don't have this in the States, is that when you ask for water, there's like 3 kinds of water you can get. So when you ask for water, they go sparkling or still. And if you've never heard that in your life, it confuses the shit out of you. And so we always kept asking for water, and then we were like, oh, still water. What the difference is in Europe, for some reason, they drink like carbonated water. And that's sparkling water. And they all do this. Nobody drinks like just still water, which is kind of like the stuff you get from the tap. It's just, like bottled water. We just have bottled water, and it's just normal water. It's not carbonated anyway. But apparently, for some reason, it's a big thing in Europe. They all drink the sparkling water. And that's just, when you ask for bottled water, that's what you get. And even, you can't even really get, if you ask for water in a restaurant and you say still water, they still give you bottled water that costs like, 2-3 euros. They give you like this really fancy, there's like a picture of a little Roman dude on it. They give you this really fancy still water. So if you want just like normal water, you have to say specifically tap water, which I always thought was really funny. They like carbonated water, whatever. But yeah, all of our drink requests were twice as long because we had to specifically ask for still water. There's no difference really. It was honestly the first time I ever had carbonated water, and really it tastes a little different, but it's fine. Also, in Europe, they don't put ice in anything at all. I'm touching my face again. I should stop that. I'm itchy. They don't put ice in anything. So if you ask for a soda, they just give you the bottle. It's a cold bottle, but I guess they figure it's cold enough in fucking Europe most of the time. Like, why would you want to put ice in anything? So like beer is warm, Coke is cool, but there's no ice in it. So here you order a Coke or something like that, you get a glass full of ice and they put the Coke in it. It's just kind of something kind of funny they would do there. The flight itself, I have discovered I am really not made for long distance travel, because it was a 9-hour flight from Chicago to Dusseldorf, and I have discovered I'm not the kind of guy who can sleep on airplanes. I just can't sleep sitting up, which is weird because I can sleep anywhere, really anywhere, as long as I'm able to lay down. But sitting up, I can't do it. For some reason, I do this number where I'm like... And so every time I try to do it, my head will tilt forward and I lurch back up. I cannot sleep in a plane. And 9 hours is a long fucking time to be sitting there staring at nothing. It wasn't for lack of entertainment on that plane. They had lots of movies. You could they had Fast and Furious 5, Water for Elephants, they had Romeo and Juliet on the plane. There was seriously like 30 movies you could watch. Thor. You could watch any one of those movies on there, and you could listen to music. There was all sorts of stuff, but at some point, I'm kind of dealing with this issue right now where I've got a lot of fatigue, and it's because I think of my heart medication that's really knocking me out. And so, when you want to sleep and you can't, that's a really miserable experience. And so, pretty much my entire plane ride was pretty miserable, honestly. Doug kept me company most of the time, but we played. I have this game called Blockus or Blocus. I have this travel version. We played Blockus a lot, but. Yeah, I don't want to make it sound like I had a really miserable time, but trying to sleep when you can't sleep at all, but you really want to, is bad. So it was a long trip both ways. I got my flight home got redirected like twice. It's not good. It was not a whole lot of fun flying that far. Used to be my dream to travel a lot of places, but transatlantic, that's only the kind of thing I'd want to do about once a year if I ever do that. That's a long flight. What made it worse, the worst part was when we finally arrived in Vienna, my luggage was gone. Just gone. It didn't arrive on the little conveyor belt. We waited for about a half hour, and it wasn't coming. And apparently this is a real problem in Vienna, where seriously, like around that terminal, there were whole aisles of just unclaimed baggage that were just kind of laying out around there. It was just everywhere. And so I was very lucky, actually, that pretty much everybody in Austria speaks average to better than average English. Some of them probably spoke better English than I do. And so I was very lucky that the agent that I talked to spoke very good English and understood everything I said, which honestly makes me look like kind of an American ignorant pig because I don't speak any other language. I speak middling to poor French. Enough to order food and talk to a taxi driver to take me to the airport, but nothing exceptional. I can apologize for not speaking French, essentially, is the extent of my French. But they were all very accommodating, and honestly, I don't blame, before you judge me too harshly, I don't blame Vienna in any way. I don't blame the people of Austria. They weren't the ones who lost my luggage. It never arrived in Vienna. So the problem was before it ever got to Vienna. Honestly, I blame the Germans. So my luggage got lost somewhere in Dusseldorf. So for 2 days, no clothes. I had no clothes in my bag. Everything important was in my backpack. I had my laptop, I had my camera, I had entertainment and my adult entertainment in my backpack, but I had no clothes. So I was wearing the same set of underwear for about 3 days. You turn it inside out, it doubles the lifespan. But finally, after 3 days, they delivered it to the airport. I was thinking I was never going to see that baggage again because it could have literally been anywhere in the world for about a week. It's a really uneasy feeling. I probably stressed out too much over it because Doug was trying to reassure me, and I was probably pretty unapproachable for about 2 days, thinking that pretty much all my clothes were gone. There was some expensive stuff in that bag. I had my tripod in there, which wasn't an expensive item, but I had a lot of stuff in there. I had a costume. I was going to wear a costume the first day of Aninite. I was actually going to dress as Squall, which was one of my only anime costumes I got, and I didn't want to dress as Titus, but I was going to dress as Squall for the first day and kind of hang out that way. That was an expensive costume, and I just had a lot of stuff in there. Nobody wants to lose all their clothes. I had a week's worth of clothes in there, which, when you think about it, adds up a lot. But third day it finally arrived, which was good because I could finally shave. My electric razor was in the bag, and I've never used a straight razor in all my life. It's really embarrassing to admit this because Doug uses a straight razor all the time, but I've never used like a safety razor ever. One of the first things my mom bought me when I turned like 15 was an electric razor, and I've used that exclusively. I've never used like shaving lotion or anything like that, so I guess I am a little sheltered in that way. So it's funny the things sometimes you just never do. I'm probably one day I'm just going to learn how to use a straight razor. Honestly, I've grown so used to using an electric razor. People complain that it's very slow or it hurts or something like that. I just do it. Although you'll notice I don't shave a whole lot. I kind of go like a week in between shaving, so I don't shave every day. It's just kind of a lazy thing. I'll just kind of get out of the shower, dry my hair, and just get dressed most days. So it's only when I start looking really scraggly that I shave. Anyway, the hotel was great. Honestly, it was probably a four-star hotel. Much better than the one Doug initially talked about in his last year's vlog, where the walls were paper thin and the beds were not good, and it was a very small room. This was a great room. It is a little, and this is where I sound really, really very American, who's very uncultured and very unworldly, I guess. This is from the perspective of someone who's never left the States. I was in Canada one time, and I went to Mexico when I was about 6, but let's just be real. This is the first time I ever really left to a completely different culture, at least someplace where they spoke a completely different language. It's actually very disconcerting to go to a place and not be able to read the signs. So, like, road signs, for instance, you take road signs for granted a lot of times, where you're able to, like, just, I'm not talking speed limits, but, stuff that describes where you're going or what certain buildings do. Not being able to read the signs on top of buildings, just that kind of thing. It's actually very strange and so you actually pick up a lot of cues visually on what things are, because there's usually little very helpful icons. Like if you're looking for a bus station, obviously most Germans, most Austrians or Germans know what what the word for bus station is, but there's a little icon of a bus, so it's simple things like that. What I was actually very impressed with was that they put English words under a lot of signs, especially in the airport or any kind of government building or any place where there's actual business being conducted. Even supermarkets, they usually put the English text right under the German text. So it's pretty progressive to see in airports where they've marked every single place you're likely to go in English. It takes getting used to, especially when you're filling out paperwork, or when you're looking, when all of a sudden your language is the second one in a row, or even the middle one in like a list of 4 different languages. But you get used to it. But it is a bit of a culture shock. So there was a moment where you kind of go through culture shock, not being able to read any of the billboards and stuff like that. Where was I going with this? But it does kind of put in perspective, if you're going to a place where English is not spoken at all, how screwed you really are. Because I remember seeing on CNN, which was the only channel I could get where they spoke English, they were showing like travel commercials to like Mongolia. There's a lot of Mongolia stuff on the TV commercials. Advertising, go to Mongolia, see it. And so I'm like, do you have any idea how screwed I would be going to fucking Mongolia, where I'm damn skippy? Most people there don't speak English. So, can you imagine me going to fucking Mongolia, losing my luggage, and then trying to talk to trying to talk to some guy in an office who, I don't even know what language they speak in Mongolia, probably Chinese, but, Mandarin or Cantonese, I don't even know what. So, not even having a touchstone on, not even knowing what language they talk down there, me going down there and being like, me lose baggage, me American, stupid man, don't speak language, trying to speak tourist to them and coming across like a real jerk. So I very much am appreciative and respectful of the Viennese and the Austrians in general to be multicultural and be able to speak any language other than their own and be relatively fluent with it. It's very impressive. So yeah, big ups. So you make me look stupid, but yeah, that's what kind of perspective it puts travel in. If I was to go someplace where they speak no English, I'm just completely screwed. The hotel staff all spoke English. They have to deal with tourists and travelers all the time, but still, it's very impressive. And not having to deal with a phrase book or something like that, really embarrassing myself completely. What to say about the trip itself? It was actually very hot in Austria, or at least it was to me. We went there the dead of summer, of course, but another big thing about Austria is they have no air conditioning. So in America, I'm very spoiled in that I have at my disposal air conditioning at all hours of the day. So people think in Arizona that it reaches routinely about over 100 degrees in Arizona. Probably today it was about 105, 110. So I think people sometimes attribute Arizonans to have some kind of Fremen ability to survive in the extreme heat. We don't. What we do is we stay in the air conditioning, and so pretty much at all times it's under 80 degrees in this house just because we use a monstrous amount of air conditioning. In Austria, they open a window. So it was probably relatively pleasant to them, but I'm sitting there going like, oh, it's 84 degrees, it's fucking sweltering, and they're like, it's nice here. So, virtually no place in Austria has air conditioning. So again, this is me being a spoiled American, where I'm being like, well, turn on the AC, and they're like, AC, why do you need that? The convention itself, people often ask me how I liked Austria, or pretty much everyone at the convention was like, how do you like Austria? What do you think about this convention? And so, honestly, aside from the fact they spoke German as a primary language, it really was just like a lot of other conventions I've been to, which is a compliment. I'm not saying that I'm not making any disrespectful overtures towards Austria. I'm saying, like, really, fandom is the same no matter where you go. Anime fandom or sci-fi fandom. We do kind of speak a common language in that when you go down there, you can all talk about the same stuff. Everyone's seen Doctor Who, everyone's seen Battlestar, everyone who goes to these conventions anyway. So you can strike up a conversation about the Doctor. You can strike up a conversation about what animes you've seen, what movies you've seen, what sci-fi shows are your favorite. It's relatively simple. Everyone dresses like the same characters. I saw a Quistis. I'm sorry, not Quistis. I actually did see a Yuffie, but Riku. I saw a Riku there. Saw a lot of Final Fantasy characters. Of course, those are the ones that stood out to me. But I saw one of the best costumes I saw was Rat Death from the Terry Pratchett books. Really great costume. It looked right off the cover of one of those pictures. Probably the best costume I saw there in practice was the Weeping Angel, which was a great. There's actually a picture of me with the Weeping Angel that you saw. Everyone wanted to take a picture with the angel. That's how good it was. So there was actually a line forming to take a picture with this angel person. Great costume. But yeah, so they're like, the people would ask, how is this different from other conventions you've been to? It really wasn't, aside from the lack of AC. Even then, it's usually very hot at conventions, so everyone's very hot, very sweaty, wearing silly costumes. It was great. Everyone was very supportive. Really, it was just a great time. So, it just took place at a university. It was a little smaller than conventions I normally go to, because most of the conventions are really mass gatherings. This was about, and I say small in terms of 7,000 people, in terms of being small. It really wasn't that much smaller. In fact, I'm not sure how many people went to SGC, but that was one of the smaller ones I was at too. But it was a great time. We got interviewed by several places. A lot of interviews where people didn't know who the hell we are. There was one guy with his camera who clearly had no idea who Doug or I were, and they're like, "Are you famous?" And we're like, "We do a show online." And Doug kind of messed with him, but what else? I had a great time. It got to a point where we were doing autographs, and a lot of people wanted to take pictures, which was great. And it kind of got to the point where things started to calm down, and we were just talking to people. There was this huge little, there was a huge circle around us where we were just talking about sci-fi, talking about anime and all the stuff we'd seen. And honestly, a lot of people didn't talk to us because they were more interested in just hearing us talk to each other. So it was me, Sad Panda, Doug, Welshie, Benzai, all of us together, just talking about stuff. They really liked hearing the back and forth between us. A lot of fun. The Q&A was a lot of fun. I'm trying to think. But as for the sites, there's so much to see in Austria. I wish I'd stayed longer, because there really is a lot. If you're into architecture at all, or art, great place to go. The architecture there is beautiful. The buildings there are older than America itself. So if that's the kind of stuff interests you, it's beautiful. We got to see the Imperial Zoo, where Benzai got electrocuted trying to climb over the fence and hug the pandas. It was pandas. He was trying to hug the pandas and he got electrocuted. I'm pretty sure Sad Panda posted a video of Benzai's electrocuted scream where he goes, "Ow!" The zoo there was fantastic, and honestly, the only zoo I can compare it to is the Phoenix Zoo. But it was amazing how all the animals were up and about doing things. Whereas in the Phoenix Zoo, if you go there, at least the one I went there when I was a kid, the animals laid there and did nothing. And I'm not saying they should do some kind of fucking show for us where they're like prancing around, but in Arizona, it's 110 degrees. If you were on a concrete pad in 110 degrees, you wouldn't feel like running around doing shit either. You'd feel like laying there and sleeping. So that's pretty much all the animals there would do. But yeah, the Imperial Zoo was great. We got to see... the best exhibit to me, honestly, was they had a baby panda, and everyone saw the baby panda. That was the big feature. Everyone was ooh, baby panda. That was really cool. But my favorite was actually the sea lions, because they have a little show for the sea lions, and there's a baby sea lion. And everyone liked the baby sea lion because it was smart enough to know there were people watching it, and it was kind of playing to the crowd. And it was so cute, where it was kind of doing, like, it would dive in the water, and people would be like, oh, yay, it dove in the water, and it would climb back up, and it would kind of, like, it would pander to the crowd and be like, you want to see me dive in the water? And we're like, yay, dive in the water. It would dive in the water. So, yeah. There... Some strange exhibits. There was an ant exhibit, and so you're like, well, that's a lot of ants, and so we got to see all that. There's also a castle, and for the life of me, I apologize, I can never remember what the name of the castle was. But if you've never seen a castle, in America we don't have castles, so this fucking castle stretched on for miles, and there's one right behind it on this big mountain, and we got to see that. I believe it or not, I'd never ridden on a subway before, so it was kind of fun riding on the subway. So yeah, I'm such a tourist. I'm the kind of guy who has very nerdy interests, so architecture really interests me, and so I had a blast just looking at statues. I had a blast just looking at gargoyles and the fucking castles and stuff like that. I love that stuff. We got to see Linz, a town called Linz, where there was an art exhibit in this cathedral. So I got to see a cathedral, which I'd really never seen before. Huge, huge cathedral. Although there was this big fog machine on the roof of this on the roof of this building that we just played in for like an hour. So there was actually an arts and electronics showcase we were going to go to, but we played in the fucking fog machine for way too long. We were all just running around in the mist like a Silent Hill and running around there. So that was a blast. We actually got to we went to the birthplace of the Linzer Torte, which is a dessert. And honestly, that was the least impressive thing about Linz, was the Linzer Torte. It was good, but I was like, it was okay. It was really just kind of a dry pastry with jam on it. It was good. It was like it got hyped up a lot, so I was going like, this is okay. But what it could have gone better with was a scoop of ice cream. So. That's not to complain about the Linzer Torte. I'm going to get hate mail for bashing on the Linzer Torte, but give me, like, a scoop of vanilla ice cream would have made that go down a lot easier. So next time I'm going to order a scoop of vanilla. But yeah, I would totally go back to Vienna. It was great. Really, the best thing about Austria to me was the food. Really, honestly, virtually every meal there was among the best meals I've ever had, which is huge praise. Huge praise. We even went to, I had schnitzels there. I tried to get like the authentic Austrian experience. So I had schnitzels. I had Weisswurst. I had all sorts of just very, very, very German Austrian type of food, which was great. I had different kinds of beers there. I had like this lemonade tasting beer, which was really good. And I don't even like the taste of beer, and I love this. Even the Italian restaurants we had there were excellent. The first day we went to this Italian restaurant, and it was so good. The guy there looked like Ian McKellen. Our waiter looked like Ian McKellen, and so we told him this, and he didn't really speak all that much English, but he's like, "Yes, I look very handsome, don't I?" And so, we kept vowing we were going to go back to this place because it was so fucking good. So yeah, if you ever want really good food, at least go to Austria because, beautiful stuff. It's all, I can't think of a single thing that was really that bad. They have this, I won't call it a fast food chain, but there's virtually one on every block, almost like Starbucks. It's called Anker, which is basically the bakery. It's almost, the closest equivalent that you could describe it here is not necessarily Starbucks, but maybe like Dunkin' Donuts. And we don't even have that many Dunkin' Donuts around here, but it's basically like a breakfast bakery where they have just lots of pastries and they serve coffee. And so there's so many of these, and it was really, really good. We need to have Ankers in America because it was that good. I really liked it. There was a Mexican restaurant right near our hotel that we didn't go to, but I so was interested to see the Austrian take on Mexican food because I live so near Mexico that we can basically get authentic Mexican food here anytime we want. So I was really interested to do a vlog on we try Austrian Mexican food just so I could be like, ah, these guys. But honestly, the food there was so good. The Mexican food was probably really good as well. So we did not have a single bad meal there. And it's rare you can say that. A lot of people warn you, like, don't drink the water, you'll get the shits. I didn't get the shits. I had the water there all the time. Very good. What else? As I got a lot of gifts at Aninite, so I thought I would go through. I'm sorry if there's some stuff that's still in my I had a little booklet with all my photos in it. So somebody gave me a bunch of pieces of art that I posted on Twitter, the original pieces that are very good. But I want to show you some of the stuff I got in Austria that I really liked. I'm going to try to hold this up as much as possible. Somebody gave me the original piece of this. I saw this scanned at one time where it says, Spoony, grab my coat. And so there's me and Dr. Insano when we fly off together with science, which I thought was really cool. Somebody, I can't remember your name, I'm sorry, but they actually gave me like an iron spoon, which I don't think I'm going to have any cereal with this spoon, but it was actually, this took art, this took dedication to actually like make a cast for and kind of make a little spoon for me. So I thought that was really cool, and so I brought this home. The thing on the top of it, I'll give you a few seconds to try to remember what this is from, because I know there's some of you out there who this shape looks familiar, right? And I didn't even recognize it at the time until he told me what it was. What this is he says he knows one of my favorite games in the world is System Shock. And this is the Trioptimum logo from System Shock, which is basically the company that makes Shodan. And so I thought, that's really hardcore. This is really generous, and this is a real fan that made this. And so I was actually very touched by this. So somebody gave me a spoon with the Trioptimum logo, and so he gave basically all of us our own little, not an eating utensil, but various iron implements that kind of harken back to our little logos or something that interests us. And I can't actually remember what Doug got, but I know it had like the little, he has this little sketch of like a glasses and a goatee and stuff like that, and that's what Doug's kind of logo is. So they had one of those. Hang on. One of the better things, not one of the better things, but one of the most impressive things I got was there was That Guy with the Glasses webcomic, or fan comic, which is basically like almost like a manga. There's a poster on the inside. That's me over there, looking like I'm right out of like a horror manga. But I wonder if there's a link I can show you. Let me look on this, then kind of see it, because this is really, really fucking impressive. Where's it? I wonder if there's a link, but I'm sure whoever made this kind of watches my channel, and they'll tell you where it comes from. But it's really kind of fascinating, because the art here is well done. The art here is actually very interesting. And the first one is Hello Critic, where he kind of gets sucked into the Animaniacs, and he has to answer questions. And he meets Yakko, Wacko, and Dot. And pretty much every character from That Guy with the Glasses, or at least kind of that was around in the Kick-Assy time, is represented here. Even the nerd. So the nerd is there. But I like, there's a lot of moments in here. There's Ask That Guy. There's a lot of moments in here where there's really great facials and a lot of great moments. Benzai is in this comic quite a bit, and he's always naked in this comic. And no, you don't see any. It's not hentai, but it's very tastefully done. Let me see. One of my favorite parts of this is Phalus is in here, but one of my favorite parts is Nostalgia Chick in this comic is always very over-sexualized in this comic. She has enormous breasts in this comic. I'm trying to find a great picture, and so there's one picture in particular where she has enormous jugs. And there's a point where the critic is pointing, and for some reason he's got his fingers stuck right in between her boobs. And both Doug and I tried in vain to find some kind of context for this. We're like, why does Doug just have his fingers stuck right between her boobs? And we could not think of a single reason why. But yeah, every picture of Lindsay and Lupa, I believe this is Lupa. Yeah. Lupa, by the way, is fucking stacked in this comic. So it's very manga in the sense that everyone is. Oh, Benzai with a baguette. That's, of course, he has a baguette. But yeah, Lupa looks fine in this comic. You can definitely see where it's coming from. There's a comic where Dr. Insano fights Batman, which is awesome. Dr. Insano's evil plan. Honestly, if the guys who made this comic read this or see this, post a link to your website. I'm sure people would love to see this fan comic. You'd probably do pretty well seeing this. I'm trying to find. There's a picture of me that's not Dr. Insano, and you know it's me because my shirt has a spoon on it, which is honestly so brilliant. I don't know why I haven't sold a shirt with just a spoon on it. I don't know. Let me see other good pictures. Let's see. They've also drawn one of the happiest pictures of the Nostalgia Critic I've ever seen. There's Linkar in here. Let me see. Where's the happy picture? Yeah, this is... Every picture you've ever seen of Doug Walker is always very scowling. So it looks like this. You know, he's always very scowling, he's very angry and very serious. But this is the happiest fucking Nostalgia Critic ever. He's flexing, he's smiling. I love this picture. It's really great. And here's Doug in his underwear. He's training out to be Batman's sidekick. This is the comic where Dr. Insano is trying to take over the world and he fights Batman. So yeah, this was really good. If you want to see Benzai nude, there he is. Oh, that was the same picture with Dr. Insano. Yeah, you can see Benzai right in the background there near Doug, who's always just kind of playing his DS or holding a baguette in a strategic location. He's always nude. So yeah, we pretty much when we saw this, we were so blown away and jerking off over to the picture of Lindsay and her huge boobs. And even Tommy Wiseau is in this. So, great fan comic. I would love to post a link if you have it. So, but there's no link in here, at least none that I can see. But great stuff. There's one thing that I saw. Somebody gave this to me the first day, and I was actually I was not feeling well the first day, so I actually missed it. I was kind of jet lagged that day, but I pulled this out, and I haven't seen it since, but this was a brilliant piece of fan art. Let me see if I can... Yeah, see that? That is me in my Fatal Fury costume, and this is amazing. This is probably one of the best pieces of fan art I got. They got the color of my eyes right. They got my hair right. I mean, they got my huge nose right. See that? My huge nose. My huge Jew nose. So... This, and it says Fatal Spoony on the top. I mean, seriously, this is amazing. And there's your signature. I can't read it, so I don't know your name. I'm sorry, but I know somebody posted on Twitter what I thought of the Fatal Fury fan art. And so this was really good. I'm actually going to see if I can get this framed. I like it that much. Really, really great stuff. I'm so glad you liked it, and I was so happy to go there. And always, I love seeing fan art. I love seeing any kind of fan tribute because it fuels my ego. No, seriously. Just to know that I've entertained you guys to the point where you feel like I love creativity, and I love seeing that I've inspired people to make something. So it always gives me a laugh and makes me feel good that I've entertained you guys and that you are inspired to create your own artwork, and that's brilliant. So this is great stuff. So thank you everyone who made Aninite so special and made things and came out to talk to us, because really that's the reason I went to Aninite. That's the reason we all went to Aninite was to meet the fans personally. I so rarely get a chance to meet fans. All I ever really deal with is you guys on Twitter or comments on the message board or comments on the video. So oftentimes I deal with you guys only when there's a problem. Only when there's something I need to deal with, like an emergency or a troll or something like that. So it may seem like sometimes I'm overly negative about the fans, or I don't like the fans, or you guys tend to see me at my worst, just as I tend to sometimes see you guys at your worst, and that's not fair. So that's why I love going to the conventions, and so you don't need to thank me for going out to the conventions. I thank you for coming to see us. I thank you guys for watching the videos, because it's really all about you guys. Without you watching the videos, us, we are nothing. So I always love meeting the fans, to thank you guys for watching the videos, and just to thank you guys, and just it's amazing to see that you guys care enough to come out and see us and just ask us questions and create, iron spoons and just ask us silly questions, because that's what we're all about. You know, we watch silly movies, we bitch about silly movies, and you want to bitch about silly movies too. And so that's why the convention was very similar to other conventions I've been to, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just proves that people are the same all over. You know, we all like the same things, or at least we all like to bitch about the same things. And everyone, regardless of what language you speak, understands crap when you see it. So I'm just happy you guys in Austria are able to understand what I'm saying. And also big thanks to the guys who offered to translate my videos into Polish. So now my videos can look Polish as well. I feel sorry for you guys who have to translate my rambling into Polish, because I'm fairly sure I say some words that don't translate easily into other words into Polish. So good luck with that. I'm fairly sure I call Titus some very bad things that don't translate well. Although I'm sure Polish people understand the word motherfucker. So I'm pretty sure I say that a lot. But winding down on my vlog of Austria, thanks to Julia, thanks to Miki for showing us around, and dealing with some crap. You dealt with me at my worst when I lost my luggage. So for showing us around and being very patient with us stupid Americans, because we are pretty ignorant of the world at large, and dealing with us because we might have been divas. So. It's tough organizing a convention and dealing with celebrities and guests and fans and stuff like that, and just making sure everyone's happy. So thanks to Chang who brought us out there and kept everything organized. I really can't thank you guys enough, because you kept us safe, you kept us on task, and you brought us out there to meet some fans I would have never had the chance to meet otherwise. So thanks everyone for coming out. And I'm going to get back to work. I go to the doctor tomorrow. Going to get my medication fixed up. So I feel great. Don't worry about me. I feel great. It's just I got some fatigue problems. So I'm going to get that resolved. But that's no excuse. I'm going to get back to work. And so when you see me next, it'll be DOA and Final Fantasy X-2. And I'm not sure I'm going to wrap up X-2. But it might be the last video. I won't know until I've scripted if it's going to be the last one. But the finale for that one is really going to be something special, and it's going to be very hard to shoot. So it's going to be something else. It's probably going to be one of the biggest things I've ever shot. So hopefully it'll work out, and hopefully it'll be as entertaining as it is up here. That I have it kind of planned out. There's also something I want to shoot with Ed Glazer. I just had this idea yesterday that I want to shoot with Ed Glazer. So if he's up for it, we'll see. But I've got a bunch of great ideas. I've got a bunch of great games I want to play, and I'll hopefully vlog about those soon. There's Dead Island. There's Deus Ex Human Revolution, which I'm still playing. There's also a game called Avedon the Black Fortress, which I've been playing. That's actually pretty fun. So I want to try that out. Madden 12. Pardon me. I've also got to watch X-Men First Class, which I just got on DVD, which should be pretty fun. And if you haven't seen it already, I'm posting a vlog for the movie Contagion. And I'll probably go again this weekend to see Apollo 18. So it's going to be a busy week. I'm going to be working really hard. And if you've watched this far, thanks again. And so thanks to all the fans out there. And yes, I'm available for more bookings. If you want to fly me out there, I'll be happy to go. I love meeting fans. So until next time, everybody, thanks for watching.